G'day, I'm Paul. So this car behind me, it is a Hyundai, but I reckon if you covered up the badges, you would never actually know that it's a Hyundai. It is a seriously good looking machine and it turns some heads. So, I don't know, it looks a bit German, a bit sort of high-end premium sort of thing. I don't know. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. This is called the i30 Sedan. It was called the Elantra here in Australia, but they changed it to the i30 Sedan. This competes with things like the Mazda 3, the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla. This one here is the top specification. It's called the N-Line Premium Auto, and it's priced at just over $37,000. But if that's a little too expensive, the entire i30 Sedan range starts at just under 25 grand. So there's something in there for everyone. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car. So if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of the review, you can use the time codes that are up on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, just scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you could subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can find out every single time we drive cars that surprise me. Okay, let's talk exterior. So you've got 7 external colours to pick from. All but white is an additional $495. So the design, I think this is what's excited me the most about it. It's not boring. I'm just sick of these sedans being conservative and boring. And I think given that this is the N-Line, they've been able to give it just a little bit of that sporty treatment. Up the front here, you can see a stack of piano black. And while I normally don't like that stuff, it actually works down the front of the car here because you don't have to look at it all that much and touch it and get it spongy and whatever. But you've got an N-Line badge down the front here, big Hyundai badge there, and I think that this kind of gives you the perception that this is a sporty version of the i30 Sedan, and they've done it respectfully, I reckon. I think it's not too over the top, still looks stylish, but it also has that sporty edge to it. Around the side here, you have a set of full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, and then a little indicator built into that socket just there. And then around the side of the car, we have a set of 18-inch alloy wheels. So typical to a lot of cars today, they have that shadow chrome on the outside and then that glossy sort of piano black finish on the inside there, and then the Hyundai logo around the side. This is interesting. It's got like a textured knurled finish to the outside of it for the center cap, which I think is pretty cool. Another N-Line badge just here. Got piano black on the top of that wing mirror with an indicator built into it. Then up the top here you have a sunroof. But as you move down the side of the car, you can see this crease line that runs all the way from the front there through to the back, and then it's joined over here with these little bits of aero on the C-pillar. Let's go around the back of the car. Now around here you've got a shark fin aerial, this black section that's attached to the boot. You've got this black boot lip spoiler, these LED lights that run all the way around the back of the vehicle. An i30 badge there, and then this is where your boot opener is located. Got that black diffuser section down the bottom, but while the design does look very German, unlike the Germans, this actually has real exhaust outlets there, they're not fake. Let me know in the comments section, do you reckon this is a good looking car? Are you surprised that it's a Hyundai like I was? Yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, we are inside the i30 Sedan. Let's start off with the key. Here it is, so lock, unlock, you have a remote start function and then a button to push and hold for the boot release. On the back there you have the Hyundai logo. This is a proximity sensing key, so you just leave that in your pocket. Once you're inside the car, you have a push button start just along the top here. Now the styling, this is the bit that really intrigues me because this feels so different to the rest of the Hyundai range. I remember when we reviewed the i30 hatch, it still kind of feels like a previous generation of Hyundai product. This feels futuristic and really nice. Like, check out this grab handle. You know, if you're doing racetrack driving, maybe you can hold on to that thing. You've got the big drive mode button over here. There is a lot of piano black around the outer edges there and then down the side here. But for the most part, this looks quite premium. Now, in terms of the materials that they've used along the dashboard, it's all quite nice. It is a little scratchy along the top here, which is a real shame because the rest of it actually feels quite nice. In terms of the touch points, in the center there, that's firm but soft, and then it is firm on the sides, but it's still enough to have your elbows nice and relaxed. How firm is it? Well, we have our durometer here. We've tested all the main surfaces in this car. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, scroll down and have a look at the link in the description. Now, what about build quality? So, feels okay, but listen to that. This is all sort of creaking, and if you drive over uneven sections of road, you can kind of hear it moving around a bit. So that is a little bit disappointing that this doesn't feel more well screwed together. Okay, let's talk about infotainment. So ahead of the driver, you have these two screens. They are 10.25 inches each. Now we do have a detailed review of this infotainment system. You can click up here to watch that. But today, I'll just give you a brief overview. So you have satellite navigation built into the screen there. quite sharp and quick and easy to use. You have shortcut buttons down the bottom. In terms of radio, you have AM, FM and DAB Plus digital radio. In addition to that, you have an 8-speaker Bose branded sound system. And then on the smartphone mirroring front, you have both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both of those are cabled. I'll show you what Android Auto looks like to start with. So there it is there. Can see it's not quite a full screen integration. In some of these integrations, you can actually customize the right-hand side menu, but here you can't for some reason. But it is nice and sharp, quick and easy to use. And this is what Apple CarPlay looks like. Also full screen. You can see it takes up the entire screen though. It is quick and easy to use as well. Now, I should also point out that in addition to all of those functions, you also have sounds of nature. We've seen this previously in Kia products before. And this basically plays serene music so the kids can fall asleep. You also have a voice memo function there as well, and then a manual built into the screen. Then moving on to the screen ahead of the driver. So you can see speedometer on the left, tacho on the right that also brings you warnings. You can customize what appears on the screen here, and then the center section is for your trip computer. And then finally, when you do want to change drive modes, you can see the display changes with it, which I think is a really clever setup. I quite like the way they've done that. Now, what about safety? So you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection. You've got rear cross traffic alert. You've also got an exit assistant, so it'll tell you if there's pedestrians or cars coming and prevent you from getting outside. It'll also display a warning there ahead of the driver. You have blind spot monitoring built into the wing mirror. You have a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant. And you also have radar cruise control. And in terms of parking, you have front and rear parking sensors and a rear view camera. I'll show you what that looks like. There it is there. So pretty decent quality. And then you've got this section here for your sonar. Okay, so I was just going to interrupt the video just for 1 second. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Has Hyundai's N division changed your perception of the brand? So things like i30N, this N-Line product, do you think this has altered your opinion of the brand? Do you think higher of Hyundai now? Let me know what you reckon in the comment section. Moving on to practicality, and we'll start with your connectivity options. So you've got 2 USB ports down the front here, a 12-volt outlet. You have a wireless charging pad. In the center console, you have another USB port. Then in terms of storage, where are you going to put your phone? Well, the phone can really live anywhere. We've got really deep cup holders here. You can also put your phone down on the charge pad. In terms of your coffee, it's not going to fit in here. Well, it does fit in there, but it sort of disappears down the middle. But there is a solution. So you can lift this up, turn it around, and then what it does is it raises the cup holder height. So when you do put your coffee in, it sits perfectly there. So I love that. That is a really clever solution, and I'm glad they've come up with something like that to save us from destroying our coffee cups. In terms of just standard bottles, you can see that sort of fits in there pretty easily. Now, what about our big bottle inside the door? No chance of that fitting, unfortunately. Other storage, you have a center console here that's pretty decent size. You can see how deep it is there with the bottle. There is a glove box over here, reasonably sized. We can fit our bottle in there. And then finally, you have storage down the side here as well. Now let's talk comfort. You have dual zone automatic climate control up the front here. You have heated and cooled seats for the front row. You have a heated steering wheel as well. The seats themselves, I reckon these look fantastic. So perforations, they have these heavy side bolsters. You've got red stitching and then the N logo in the center there. I think they look really high end and they look pretty fancy. So very impressed with that. Steering wheel itself looks really nice as well. So it sits great in the hand. You've got those paddle shifters there. The steering wheel has tilt and reach adjustment. The driver's seat is electrically adjustable with memory. The passenger seat is manually adjustable. And then all of this is easy to reach while you're driving. Okay, back seat of the i30 sedan. So my driver's seat is pretty far back, so you can see how much knee room I have there. I don't really have a great deal of toe room, and headroom is pretty compromised. You do have air vents back here and one map pocket, but no USB charging, unfortunately. Center armrest, you have 2 cup holders built into there. I'll show you what that looks like. Now the question is, can our big bottle fit inside the doors? It couldn't in the front. These do look like bigger holes. It doesn't really fit in there either. You also have ISOFIX points for the 2 outboard seats as well. Okay, let's talk cargo space. So being a sedan, it's actually not too bad. Crack it open using this button on the back. So you've got 474 litres of cargo space available, and beneath the cargo floor you have a space saver spare tyre plus a jack. I'll show you what it looks like with our bags in there. So there's the laptop, I get a suitcase in. There you go, it fits in nice and easily. It does have one more party trick though. You can drop the second row from here, but it's a bit counterintuitive. When you pull this, it simply unlocks the second row. It doesn't fold it down, so you've then got to go in and manually do it all yourself. So we've hit the road in the i30 N-Line Sedan, and I'll run you through what is under the bonnet first. So it's a 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. It makes 150 kilowatts of power and 265 Newton meters of torque, and that's all mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, for the most part, these dual clutch transmissions are getting better, and this one is pretty good once it's moving, but at slow speeds it can be really jittery, and I don't know, it just feels like it's shivering for some reason. And I was stuck in traffic yesterday and noticed that as I was letting off the brake and rolling into the throttle on a slight uphill, it'd sort of stutter a little bit as it went. So it is unfortunately one of those characteristics of a dual clutch gearbox. Now, I mentioned earlier the build quality stuff when we were sitting inside the car. Well, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's something rattling inside this dashboard. If I hold that, it stops, and if I let go, it's there again, and it's really getting annoying while driving, so that's pretty frustrating. The other thing that I'm finding really frustrating is, you'll see it flashing on the screen there, it's the lane keeping assistant. We're out on a country road at the moment, and it just keeps darting me off towards the gravel. It's just really not a very good system for driving out here on country roads, so I'm just going to switch that off entirely while we do this little bit. There we go. Now, what's it like to drive? So let's give this a little punch here. That feels really nice. There's actually a little bark out of the exhaust as well. We're not even in sport mode, and you can hear a little crack from the exhaust, so that's pretty cool. Look, it's a fascinating engine because we've tested this engine before in other Hyundai products, and I don't know, depending on the car that you drive, it's either really fun and inspiring like it is here, or it's a little dull and boring. So I like the fact that they've gone for a more interesting tune here. It's got a bit of character to it and it feels fun to drive. In terms of our drive modes, if I hit that, you can see the gauges change. We've got normal, eco, sport and smart. I'll dart over to sport mode. So immediately I can feel the steering has become heavier and the throttle a little sharper. I'll just kick that down. Yeah, that feels really nice. So, I don't know, this is actually quite engaging and fun to drive. Hyundai doesn't have an official 0 to 100 time for the N-Line Sedan, but we thought we'd put it up against our stopwatch. Now let's talk fuel economy. So Hyundai claims a combined average of 6.8 litres per 100 Ks. Yesterday when I was doing some highway driving, it was closer to that 7 litre per 100 K mark. Now that we've been out in the country, giving it a bit of a fang, it's sitting around 8.5 litres per 100. But as you can see there, it's climbed up to 9 after we've been doing a little bit more sporty driving. So look, it's not terrible. It's just expect it to use a little bit more fuel if you get stuck into it. Okay, so let me pop this back into normal mode. I think I did notice immediately as we started driving out here on these country roads, the amount of road noise inside the cabin. It seems to be coming through the tyres and it's really translating through the cabin. It's quite boomy and noisy in here, which is a little bit disappointing. I would have liked something a little quieter, especially if you're doing a lot of highway driving. I think the amount of noise you're getting in here is probably going to get a little frustrating over time. Let's talk about the suspension. Much like a lot of Hyundai's other products, this benefits from an Australian ride and handling tune. And I have mentioned previously in other videos that yes, Australian roads aren't any better or worse than roads in any other country in the world, but here we have some unique road conditions and we have a bunch of varying road conditions as well that these cars have to cater for. And I think they've done a really good job here. So it is on the sportier side of comfortable, but I think you can get away with that because it does have that sporty intention to it. And when you're driving here behind the wheel, it just feels really nice and nimble and sharp, which is what you want from one of these sporty sedans. Let's talk handling. We've got a couple of these higher speed corners here. It's actually not too bad. It sits nice and flat through corners. There's a bucket load of response through the steering there, especially in sport mode. It gets nice and heavy and it makes you feel like you're actually doing something. As the speed picks up, it actually feels really nice and planted. They've done a great job here with the body control and just making sure that the car doesn't sort of move around too much through the corners. Even if you hit a bump mid-corner, it stays nice and settled and flat and it's not sort of moving around the place. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job here with the handling, and it's actually pretty surprising for a 37 grand Hyundai that You could have some serious fun with this. So yeah, big tick from me on the fun factor. Now, what about visibility? Look, it's good. There's nothing to complain about. I can see clearly down the front of the car there. We've got front and rear parking sensors, which makes life easy. Decent sized wing mirrors and blind spot monitoring built into those as well. Visibility out the rear is pretty good as well. It is a tiny bit narrow, but for the most part, it's fine. Finally, turning circles. So it comes in at 10.8 meters, which is pretty reasonable for a sedan. It just means that you may have to do the occasional 3.2. So the Hyundai i30 Sedan N-Line. I tell you what, I wasn't expecting this to be anywhere near as fun as it is to drive. So it's got those little snarly bits coming out of the exhaust, and when you really get up it, you can hear it's doing things. And I don't think I was expecting that much enjoyment from the driving experience. Once the car's moving, it's actually really fun to drive and very punchy. It's just that low speed jitteriness of the dual clutch gearbox. I don't know, I'm sure you can get used to it, but I just don't find it really all that pleasant. And just a couple of the interior bits, it does look really nicely presented, but the creaks and stuff when you move it around aren't exactly fantastic. But if you put those things to one side, this is a really premium looking vehicle. It feels nice inside, it's got a great sound system, and I think it's a good package in terms of the money that you're spending on it. Now, let me know in the comments section below, have you bought one of these? What do you think about it? I know the previous generation of the Elantra, the SR, was kind of like the N-Line version, and they made that enjoyable to drive, but I think this takes it another step. I'm keen to get your feedback on it. If you have bought one, does it turn heads? Is it a good long-term proposition? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you like it, and also don't forget to share it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well, so you can find out every single time we publish a new review. But until next time, take it easy.